I asked her if she would come to our January meeting, and so we'll have a chance to meet her and have some conversation and begin to help her understand what our responsibilities are. Any questions on that? Seems pretty straightforward. As for the doe farm itself, two items. We had a walk on the doe farm that Victor joined us for, in the company of Ali, A-L-I, Koshiba, K-O-S-H-I-B-A, who is Vermont is an extension specialist for Vermont Cooperative Extension in forestry. She is their climate specialist. And she's written a bunch of stuff that pertains to forest management and climate change, and was here in town to do a presentation at the library and also to go out on the doe farm. I think there's about a little over a dozen of us at some point, but some number, 12 to 15 depending. And I thought we had a good exchange. In addition to Ali, our consulting forester, Charlie Marino, was there, and his assistant, Nick Haskell, who's on the Town Conservation Commission here, which was great. The county forester was here, was there at the time. So 1, 2, 3, I guess there was like 5 forestry folks and 6 or 7 or 8 non-forestry folks. So we wandered around for a couple of hours and talked about some of the things that she and others recommend in terms of dealing with climate change as one manages a forest. And most of that stuff is covered in publications that she's put out. And I know that our consulting forester, Charlie Marino, has been to some of her workshops and is familiar with what she's recommending and is working on incorporating that into our forest management plan. I did receive an updated proposal from Charlie relative to the management plan for the doe farm that would be supported by a grant from the Rockingham County Planning Commission. And I will email that around so people can read it. He's really set it up as more of an amendment to the existing contract, and I think what we probably should have is a unified contract, because we have a couple of granting organizations, and I think they would all be more comfortable if they could see how both pieces fit together. And so I will mail that out to you all to review, and I'll get some input from you, how we might make any adjustments that we think are necessary on this additional work, and then ask Charlie to kind of push it all together in one unified document. And we can probably bless that at our next meeting. Does that make sense to people?
Mm-hmm. Quick question.
Sure.
You did say Rockingham County, correct?
So, I'm sorry, it is Stratford County.
That's kind of what I figured.
Yep.
But just in case.
Boundary's not too far away, but and the reason I was thinking about Rockingham County only because Wednesday I had a conversation with some folks over in Maine, and they have some black gum, a tree species of the South, on their property. And there's some, I don't know if we have any in Durham, but I know there's some out in Stratford. Really weird stuff where black gum and black spruce grow together in little pocket swamps. So one tree from the deep south, one tree from the great north, and they grow together. It's a really weird combination. These folks over in York have some, and I highlighted that to them, and I also mentioned that in Rockingham County, in one of the swamps down there, which no one will tell you where it is, there are black gum trees documented to be 400 years old.
Wow.
And that's why they don't let anybody know where they are, because they don't want people going in messing around with them. So, a couple of the county foresters know where they are, and the landowner knows where they are, but they generally keep the information. So anyway, that's hence why Rockingham County was in my head.
I didn't know we had such things. Interesting.
Weird.
One more quick question.
Sure.
What was the date of that walk out of Doe Farm? I should probably put that in the notes.
It was just.
Recall?
I don't keep facts in my head anymore.
Yeah.
You don't need to.
I should be able to find that.
It's probably not strictly necessary, but if I can put it in the minutes, I will.
Odd, I don't see it. It was in December, and I just don't have it as a time blocked out on my. It was in the first week of December, but I just don't see where it's mentioned.
All right. I'm not going to worry about it then.
Okay.
Unless you have it handy, Victor.
I'm not seeing it.
Okay.
We can. Come on, come on, come on.
Actually, I'm showing it as November 20th.
Was it that far back?
Yep.
So it was before our last meeting. Okay. Which explains why I don't see it on my calendar in December, because we didn't do it in December.
Because it wasn't in December.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go. Yep. 2 p.m. Doe Farm Alley, Kashiba. Okay.
Okay. Great.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you both.
All right. Are there any further questions about Doe Farm, the contract, Land Stewardship Subcommittee, Land Stewardship Coordinator? There being none, we'll close out that item and check in with the Cemetery Committee.
Well, the cemetery committee does not have a lot to report. That is because there have been no sales and no burials. The last burial was November 8th, and at this point there will be no more burials because the ground is frozen and we are closed. The one item I do have to report, though, is that the fence has at long last been repaired. As you may recall, that fence, along with the compost and trash bins out there, were destroyed in that heavy snow that came in on April 4th.
Right.
The trees that came down came from the cottages side of the property, crashed through the fence. But the fence is their responsibility according to the easement. So they had to repair the fence. That just took a while because budgeting for the tree removal was kind of a special request on their end. It's not a regular maintenance thing. They had to go up the chain and get approval from somewhere. So it took a very long time. But then they were able to just put their own people to work on the fence once the tree was actually gone, and that took all of a day. So it is nicely fixed out there, and we are all set. The only other thing I have to report is the scouts, as they usually do, came by the weekend after Thanksgiving and took up all of the flags off the veterans' graves and put them away for the season. So
Excellent.
thank you to Ken Mitchell and the Scouts for their work on that. Other than that, DPW did their usual fall maintenance, and the place is shipshape and, you know, ready for the winter. So now is the time when we catch up on paperwork.
Excellent. Any questions, comments from Victor or from, I have none.
Just a poor joke. People used to be dying to get in there.
Well, they do, but.
They still are.
They
but
still are, but.
They have to wait until spring, as is so often the case.
All right. There being no other old business on the agenda, we can move to some new business. And one of those is an expenditure request, and I'll send a copy down to Victor to look at. Tom, have you finished looking
I've
at that?
taken a look at that. Yeah.
Briefly, it's a collection of several small requests. One dealing with the monitoring of a conservation easement out on Technology Drive. Another deals with the electric bill at the chapel, the Smith Memorial Chapel on Oyster River Road. Is that on Oyster River Road? Mill Pond Road. A small amount of money, well, not an inconsequential amount of money for a bridge being paid out of the Town Land Stewardship Patrons Trust. Some money paid to the Rockingham Conservation District for the control of glossy buckthorn out on the Doe Farm. And some reimbursement to Tom for a metal detector that's necessary out at the cemetery so we can find the right places to dig the holes. And some money for the Wilcox Garden from the Wilcox Trust, a relatively small amount. The grand total is $6,978.85. The documentation is included here, and rather than include each and every Eversource bill related to the Smith Chapel, Deb Ahlstrom has provided a sample and then a summary. It's typically not very much, 16 to 17. There may have been a couple of $18 bills, but it's a relatively small amount across the year, totaling $211.90. So could I have a motion to approve these expenditures?
I move that we approve these expenditures.
And a second?
I will second.
All those in favor say aye. And any further discussion, any questions about what's going on? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Hearing none, the motion is carried. The items are approved. And Victor, as you sign, you can delete Alberto's name and put yours in as alternate trustee.
Thank you. All right. That's our only
set of paperwork. So for right now, and Deb was particularly interested in getting this closed out before the end of the calendar year. So thanks very much for getting that done. Next item on the agenda is the MS9. Do you all get that from Cambridge Trust?
I did get it.
You did get that?
Yes.
Okay, yeah,
They send us that secure mail.
right.
We have to go download it.
And I was just trying to remember. I don't think there were any grand changes. I'm just trying to remember. We did approve last month some fairly large withdrawals. But I'm not sure that they've actually arrived